Today we're going to talk about astral forms and astral realms. In particular, I was very curious to get what your thoughts were on Slenderman. Is he a thought form? What do you think he is? Maybe.
There's a few different possibilities for what he is. Personally, I think he was a possibly. Well, if you do some research on it, I wrote the guy's name down. Victor Surge or Eric Knudsen. He's the guy, original person who mentioned the Slender Man and created the Slender Man mythos. Um, but those ideas had to come from somewhere. So he might be based on a more ancient entity that just decided to show up and be like, "Hey, here's my form, run with it." Yeah,
He seems pretty powerful. I mean, to be able to influence people on this realm, this existence, he seems pretty powerful.
yeah, right. Uh, Definitely, you can definitely sense his presence when you start reading his stories and playing the games and stuff. You'll come out of it feeling different. You know what I mean? For sure.
Right. So, how does an astral form get its shape, or how does it come into existence?
Well, the way it comes into existence is somebody has a vision or they come up with an idea and then they share that idea with other people. Those people kind of add to it. You get thousands and millions of people that hear about this idea, and it just adds power to it over months and years of people thinking about it. Like in the case of Slender Man, people start thinking that they see him in the woods in pictures and stuff. Standing among trees. That he's the reason for all these people disappearing and shit like that. So it just adds to the thought form and it builds up almost to the point of like egregorhood or godhood.
Wow, it would be interesting to see where the story originated and see if it's in proximity where like you start typically see like the Salem witch trials or something. If he's maybe like 1800s or early, no, I mean like mid 1700s maybe, where you had like people practicing witchcraft or whatever, or or maybe he's Native American in origin. He seems pretty strong. um, would you say the concepts of gods are also astral forms, like
I
the
think,
Christian God, maybe?
yeah, I think some of the gods originated in the exact same way. Like somebody had a sort of a talent for seeing visions and stuff like that, connecting with the astral realms, and they wrote down what they saw, and that ended up having followers over time, people praying to it, and it became a god. You know what I mean?
Wow.
I'd say a lot of gods are like that. Not all of them, of course. Like some of them, you just know that they existed before humans did, and but other ones, yeah, they definitely were created from thought forms for sure.
Wow. So I've been studying in the occult, obviously not as long as you, right? But from what I understand, making a thought form, an actual thought form or a servitor, is actually a thing. You make a sigil for it, you put your intent on it, maybe you even bloodlet on it. And it's actually a process to think about it, speak your intent into it, breathe it life. So it's possible that Slenderman was created this way through a ritual, maybe, right?
It's possible. I mean, because there's a lot of different things created through creepy pastas and all those different websites where people come up with weird stuff all the time and create horror stories around it. But it seems like Slenderman kind of took on a new life of its own. You know what I mean? So I'd say its origins, I'd say, predate that guy that's mentioned as his creator.
Do you think, let's say, like, what do you call it, supernatural topics, like let's say the Jersey Devil or Bigfoot, belong in the same category as Slenderman or astral forms in themselves?
Uh, yeah, I would say that. Like a lot of different mythologies about different areas and stuff. People glimpsing things, but they can never get footage of it that's clear. That kind of
Right.
makes me think that that's like the veil between realities, the astral and the physical realm. people think about these things so often they start manifesting them. You know.
Wow. For the audience, yes, me and Nocturnus have a friendship, and he introduced me to a method called the 13 Gates of the Necronomicon. Lord Nocturnus, so the 13 Gates method is not actually in the Necronomicon itself, right? It's something that a separate author developed.
Yeah. Correct.
And
Donald.
yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, the author Donald Tyson created the 13 Gates, and he described the Necronomicon as a city on the astral realm that had different gates to it to access different aspects of the Necronomicon current.
So when you pass through a gate, each month has a different gate, right? So you can access monsters, interesting personalities, places, objects, right?
Yeah, correct.
So an interesting thing is I employ the 13 gates method to try to contact the entity known as Slenderman.
Hmm.
Let's just say he's not a very friendly fellow. I just think it's very interesting because I employed the method to contact quote unquote characters from the Necronomicon, which we'll get to in a minute. But when I try to contact this entity known as Slender Man, I found him to be very powerful. Even a tarot reading, and you saw it. In
Yeah.
short, this entity wanted to kill me, basically. Um, but when you pass through the gates, so let's just say a skeptic person would argue that when you pass through the gates, these are not real entities from the Necronomicon, right? Well, what would you say to a person like that?
Everybody has their own opinion about what things are. You know, outside your own consciousness, you can't prove anything exists. Really, think about
Um,
that.
so they're astral forms, possibly, right, from the Necronomicon. What do you say?
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
Um, and I remember you said something about that what people write is something that's still in the astral form. They just managed to like write it to the letter.
Yeah, correct. People see these things in their dreams and visions, and they write it down. That solidifies it on the physical plane. Other people come in contact with that, they read that, and their imagination runs. And you know, the imagination touches upon the astral plane, and it just builds up that energy.
And something like the Necronomicon, that's something that a lot of occultists would probably have on hand. They've been around rituals. Maybe rituals were actually done on them. So maybe even power was given to the fact after, you know?
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
It's interesting because my dad once said this about Star Wars. He's all like, whoever wrote Star Wars probably had a lot of knowledge about actual alien life or whatever.
Yeah, I could see that for sure.
Right on, right on. Well, very interesting subject. And would you like to plug your services, Lord Nocturnus?
Yeah. Just tell you the different things that I'm offering. Evocations of the Goetic spirits. Uh, I'm doing that. It's $50. I'm doing scrying sessions for $30. It's where you stare into a scrying device, and people ask me questions, and I tell them what I see. And also tarot readings using the Necronomicon tarot.
Very good tarot readings, by the way. Very insightful and to the point.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's been
And
interesting.
yeah, would
Go
you like
ahead.
to plug your YouTube?
Yeah, Nocturnus on YouTube. You can just look up that name and I'll pop up. And I
Perfect.
teach vampirism, different occult subjects, and share personal experiences and experiences with some of the people that have been viewing my stuff too. They share theirs.
Beautiful. Perfect. Right on. Well, Lord Nocturnus, it's been a pleasure, and I look forward to seeing more of your material pretty soon.
Yeah, you too, man. Hails.
Thanks, boss. Hills.
Later.